everyone, this is Maki. The Stray Gundam that appears in Gundam Seed is absolutely stunning, isn't it? It's a popular mobile suit, sometimes referred to as the first Gundam of the 21st century. I wonder, did you enjoy the explanatory program about the main body of the Stray Gundam? Do you remember the part about the incredibly important equipment? That's right, the striker packs. The Stray Gundam, even on its own, is a very high-performance mobile suit. But when paired with the striker packs, it transforms into an even more powerful weapon. These striker packs combined with the Stray Gundam dramatically changed mobile suit development in the world of Gundam Seed. And there are so many different types of striker packs. Have you ever heard the term MSP? It's an abbreviation for mobile suit variation. Not only in plastic models, but this concept also allows you to enjoy the world depicted in spin-offs like novels. It signifies attempts to create various variations of mobile suits that appeared in the anime. It's a culture that has been enjoyed since the very first Gundam. In Gundam Seed, there's also an element of MSP play amidst this. Many striker packs have emerged in this program. For now, I'll introduce the main striker packs that appeared in the TV anime. Many of the MSP striker packs that have been created have often referenced the major equipment that I will explain today. So let's begin the lecture. Let's start by talking about the launcher striker. Do you know why I am explaining about this striker first? The fact is that the launcher striker was the first one used in the story. The launcher striker was developed to endow the characteristics of another prototype Gundam, the Buster Gundam, onto the strike. Once equipped with the launcher striker, it becomes a highly powerful mobile suit for bombardment battles. The strike equipped with the launcher striker is referred to as Launcher Strike. I'm going to share some information that might surprise you. The launcher striker is lighter in weight compared to the L striker. The L striker is known for its high mobility. Swift equipment, the launcher striker is lightweight, but its mobility is low because it uses energy for powerful bombardment. It has fewer devices to generate thrust compared to the L striker, which is also one reason. Let's also take a look at its armaments. Its primary very powerful weapon is a beam cannon called Agi. It's about 20 meters long. Agi can display such destructive power that it can pierce through the outer wall of a space colony in a single shot. If it hits a mobile suit, it can destroy it with one blow. There are also instances where it demonstrates its effect, even if it does not hit directly. In a fight against Duo Gundam, the latter managed to dodge Agi, but its aftermath caused Duo Gundam's right arm to disappear completely. However, it is sometimes criticized for its excessive power due to the immense destructive force. In fact, when it was used in the story, it pierced a hole in the outer wall of a space colony, causing a massive disaster. Its intense energy consumption is also a drawback. In the story, there was a scene where the strike used Agi while receiving energy supply from the battleship Archangel. The name Agi is derived from the god of fire in Indian mythology. There's another weapon called the combo weapon pod. This is a combination of a compact Gatling gun and a missile launcher mounted on the right shoulder. It's a piece of equipment intended to handle enemies approaching the launcher strike, which uses Aki as its main weapon. First, let's take a look at the 120-man T-ship Vulcan gun. It is installed with the intention of intercepting mid-range mobile suits. You notice the term anti-ship in its name. It's named so because it's also an effective weapon against battleships. The other weapon is a 315-gun launcher. It's a weapon capable of firing both regular shells and guided missiles. One of its unique features is the ability to lock onto multiple enemies. Did you notice both weapons equipped on the combo weapon pod are not beam weapons? They are designed this way in order to conserve the energy used for Aki. Additionally, the weapons equipped on the combo weapon pod are modified versions of those traditionally used by the Earth Alliance forces for the strike. The goal is not to equip newly developed weapons, but to improve the reliability of the launcher striker by equipping weapons that have been used stably. The lessons learned from the production of the Buster Gundam are also reflected here. Although the Buster Gundam excels in bombardment, it has a weakness in close combat. Thanks to the combo weapon pod, the launcher strike can now handle close combat as well. Let's talk about the Soul Striker. It's a striker pack characterized by its large sword. Once equipped, the strike becomes what we call Soul Strike. The Soul Striker consists of a backpack mounted on the back, as well as armor for the left shoulder and left forearm. It's specialized mainly for melee using the large anti-ship sword Schwert gear. The Schwert gear, an additional battery, and a small shield equipped on the arm are its notable features. It also includes a machine known as the Thermal Accumulator, a close combat support information system. Quite a cool name, isn't it? A distinctive feature of the Soul Striker is that it reflects data obtained from the production of the Blitz Gundam, another prototype Gundam. While referencing the equipment of the Blitz Gundam, it has been adjusted to specialize in anti-mobile suit combat. Blitz Gundam is a Gundam adept at covert operations. Our protagonist Kira often stood out in scenes where he defeated Softsa's pilots while aboard the Soul Strike. The combat data from these encounters proved to be valuable information in situations involving other mobile suits. The achievements and data accumulation of the Soul Strike also led to the creation of a powerful machine called Sword Calamity later on. First, let's talk about the main weapon, the Schwert gear. A large sword. Looks so cool, doesn't it? I love it. The tip of this weapon is made from a hybrid heavy alloy, making it an anti-ship sword, which sounds impressive. It was developed due to the potency of the heavy slash sword used by GN. It has the destructive power to destroy a mobile suit even without the generation of a beam blade. Since it's powerful even without using a beam, it's designed for underwater battles. When a beam blade is generated, it transforms into an even more potent weapon. This beam blade is more powerful than a regular beam saber, having enough force to destroy an enemy machine, even if it is equipped with armor treated against beams. The Schwert gear is large because it needs to generate this powerful beam. And this sword, as its name suggests, was originally intended for anti-ship combat. However, since Kira often found himself in situations where he had to fight with fewer allies, it also performed admirably in mobile suit combat. Let's also discuss the origin of its name. Schwert means sword in German. Gear means gun. You might be wondering, wait, isn't that strange? Many people do. In fact, this weapon had a hidden function. It was designed as a weapon equipped with a laser beam gun in the hilt. This weapon was not used in the storyline. Moreover, it was also possible to generate a small beam saber from the muzzle. In later years, additional settings were introduced for this part. The Soul Striker used by Strike was a prototype. Therefore, it was not equipped with a laser beam or a small beam saber. That was the final decision. The beam boomerang Midas Messer is another cool weapon. It's a boomerang that generates a beam braid. Like a real-world boomerang, it traces a unique trajectory and returns to the hand. It's an extremely effective weapon against mobile suits, and it can also be used like a beam saber when the beam braid is generated. The Midas Messer is very cool, but some people may wonder why it can return to the hand even in space. There is a reason for this. When it flies, a force field is generated in the beam braid part, interfering with the space and changing its trajectory. It's quite a complex structure. In fact, in some materials it's described as can only be used where there is air. However, in the storyline, it is used without problems in space. Finally, the rocket tanker Panzer-Eisen. The Panzer-Eisen is a rocket-propelled tanker that can catch targets or destroy them with a clamping force. It is characterized by being launched by a powerful cable called reinforced polymer cable, but it has the drawback of being difficult to control the trajectory. This cable is stored in a part shaped like a shield. This part, which also serves as a real case, is coded for beam resistance, so it also functions as a shield. This weapon was developed with reference to Brits Gundam's equipment, named Glide. There was a scene in the story where it directly confronted Glide. The aim of this equipment is to send Strike, which has acquired a strong defense through phase shift armor, into enemy lines and cause chaos. The Sword Strike inflicted major damage on Zaft. Weapons evolved from the Schwartgear were born not only in the Earth Federation forces, but also in Zaft. It can be said that this equipment significantly changed the direction of mobile suit development. Now, let's get to the much anticipated Aero Striker. When equipped, it transforms the Gundam into what we call the Aero Strike. Aero is a French word meaning wing, the word sword, and launcher or English one day. The name Aero feels quite chic. However, there are other speculations among the fans. What if they had named it Wing instead of Aero? It would then be Wing Strike Gundam. Actually, there already exists a Gundam by the name Wing Gundam. Even if it's their own product, a company would want to avoid similar names. It's said that this real-world situation resulted in the name becoming French. This Aero Striker is a pack with large variable wings and 4 powerful thrusters. It was mainly made to enhance mobility in space, but it can also do short flights and high-altitude jumps on the ground, with gliding as the main function. The Aero Striker emphasizes mobility in its design. Due to its versatility, it is the most used pack. Regardless of whether in space or within the atmosphere, it's often treated like the basic form of the Strike Gundam. It was very active in the story world, thus its influence can be seen in the design of other machines, such as the large thrusters of the M1, a stray being modeled after it. The only weapon equipped in the Aero Striker is a beam saber. This beam saber was a very powerful weapon on the battlefield at the time it was developed. On battlefields where beam weapons weren't widespread, this beam saber was a formidable weapon. In fact, the technology from the Blitz Gundam was applied to this weapon. The Blitz Gundam has an equipment called Mirage Colloid. It's a device that bends light with a special substance to hide itself. They succeeded in using this property to fix the beam in the form of a saber, It's a very amazing invention, but the 4 Gundams including this one were stolen by theft. It was a really big blow. Weapons other than the beam saber use the standard equipment of strike. They are the beam rifle and shield. Compared to the launcher and sword, the arrow uses less energy, which is also a characteristic. That's why it was very compatible with using the beam rifle as standard equipment. By the way, this Isle Striker will be improved in later years. In the sequel to Gundam Seed Destiny, a scene is depicted where the Strike Rouge, a mobile suit of the same type as Strike equipped with the Isle Striker, is flying even when appearing in games. The Isle Strike is often depicted as a machine capable of flight. However, in the main anime of Gundam Seed, it does not have the ability to fly. Alright, that covers the explanation of the striker packs that the Strike Gundam equips. What's the matter? You say there are still striker packs that were equipped in the anime. You've got quite the keen eye. That's absolutely correct, although they are a bit irregular. There are still striker packs that saw action in the anime. First up, we have the multiple assault striker. This appeared in the remastered version of the anime. It's a version that revitalizes footage from the past with the latest technology. For those who played with a Strike Gundam plastic model equipped with all weapons, this was a development that brought surprise and excitement. This striker integrates the functions of the arrow, sword and launcher packs, thus providing high combat power. A unique feature is that the battery packs equipped with the arrow unit have been increased to 5. Once a battery has been drained, it's immediately discarded on the spot. Another distinct characteristic, I find the action of discarding unwanted equipment quite cool. Don't you? Equipping this striker earns the strike the name Perfect Strike. However, this striker presents challenges, such as decreased mobility due to increased total weight and heavy weaponry, and the deteriorated handling of the weapons. It was among the equipment brought in when the Archangel received supplies from the Earth Alliance. However, Kira, upon seeing this equipment, chose not to use it due to concerns about its unwieldiness and the loss of mobility, as stated in the documents. It was later used by Moonlove Flager, who inherited the strike from Kira to fight against the Earth Alliance in order to protect Orb. When Mu used it, he destroyed a number of strike daggers and played a crucial role. Does this mean Kira's decision was wrong? I don't think so. Kira often had to face off against Darkseid's pilots. He had to confront the Gundams piloted by the red uniformed ace pilots. In such situations, the lack of agility would have been a significant disadvantage. Kira's decision to not choose the less agile Perfect Strike was, in my opinion, correct. Liu, on the other hand, used it in situations where he had to quickly eliminate a large number of strike daggers. He was in the battlefield where he could not win unless he destroyed them in succession with powerful weapons. He destroyed multiple strike daggers with the Aki's bombardment. He penetrated the enemy lines using the Owl's mobility and the Soul's offensive power, and successively destroyed the strike daggers. The different circumstances highlight the effectiveness of the striker pack. Next up is the IWSPE. This stands for Integrated Weapon Striker Pack. Like the multiple assault striker, it combines the features of the arrow, sword and launcher. It appears in the opening sequence of the sequel Gundam Seed Destiny, while the anime depicts the Strike Rouge, a machine identical to the Strike, equipped with this pack. No battle scenes involving it are shown in the main storyline. I'd like to talk about this striker in a program explaining the Strike Rouge. Finally, the Otoi is a striker pack based on the IWSP, but with improvements. It appears in the remastered version of Gundam Seed Destiny. The Strike Rouge equips it and fights in it at the time. The coloring of the Strike Rouge changes to the same as the Strike due to adjustments made to the phase shift armor. I'd also like to discuss this in a program explaining the Strike Rouge. Please look forward to it. That wraps up the explanation of the striker packs that's shown in the anime, of course. There are various other striker packs out there. Many of them are heavily influenced by the Arrow launcher and sword packs. The mechanism of swapping equipment is highly praised within the story. Later on, the Earth Alliance starts producing mass-produced machines that are compatible with striker packs. The Strike Dagger that appears in the main Gundam Seed storyline is not compatible with striker packs, as it was produced in an emergency. The Impulse Gundam that appears in Gundam Seed Destiny is a machine that's heavily influenced by the Strike. It's after me taking inspiration from the striker packs, develops technologies such as the Silhouette system and the Wizard system. The Strike is referred to by the production staff as the first Gundam of the 21st century. It's like the first Gundam in the world of mobile suit development within the story. That brings us to the end of this explanation. But for those of you who have become interested in using a striker pack, I have some good news. The subscribe button you see on your screen is the attachment switch for the Arrow Striker. If you want to equip the launcher striker, hit the like button. If you'd like to try out the sword striker, hit the bell button, of course. You are more than welcome to equip all the strikers. There are no limits. I hope you enjoy the interesting changes brought about by the striker packs. Until we meet again, take care!